another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 5, Episode 4.
Or Episode 98 if you're counting.
How's everybody doing today? I hope we're coming in loud and clear. If not, I'm sure somebody will tell us, as always. Thank you, as always, to the Patreon contributors over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. There were some payment issues on Patreon's side this month. Apparently, they've emailed everybody and they've kind of worked it out, I guess. But if you are a contributor and you've had any sort of issue with either it took it, or it didn't take it, or took too much, or something, let me know. I will address Patreon for you, but they're saying that they've worked it out, so yes.
Yes, good.
Yeah. Good.
Good.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great, what's going on?
What's going on? Well, you got a new phone.
Yes, I did. Galaxy Note 4, very happy with.
Very sleek.
Yeah, it was down to between this or the new S6 is what they're up to.
Is what you were looking
the specs are essentially the same. However, I was super disappointed. Like, it does not have an SD card slot.
That's weird.
That bothered me.
That's a little weird.
That bothered me a lot. So, yeah, I got this, and now I can use a stylus for some reason. Like, I don't know why I would, but now, like, I might kind of tool around with just drawing really bad crap on my phone. And then
that's what you do with it.
Yeah, just, like, I'm sure this really technically should be more of a business kind of a phone, I'm sure, but I like it. I think it's fun. It's fun to play with.
That's at least what you got this week.
And what? Did you get something? I don't know
well,
what you
no,
got.
I didn't end up going because... What was
Going where?
Because remember, Tuesday was the 30th anniversary of the release of the Power Rangers movie. Not 30th anniversary, why did I say 30? It was on the 30th. Was the 20th anniversary of the Power Rangers movie coming out, and they were having that viewing here in town.
Well, it was ridiculously expensive.
Well, it was ridiculously expensive, but I found out after the fact that separate from the viewing, which was ridiculously expensive, there was a much more reasonably priced autograph session over at that comic shop, and I wish I could have gone, but I was still at work that night, and that wasn't going to happen.
Meh.
It sucks.
I'm sorry. You at least already have at least one of those people's autographs.
Well, no, because it would have been the person who I don't have their autograph. It would have been Steve Cardenas' autograph that I don't have.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but still, it's the principle of the thing.
Whatever.
And then I got that writer game on my phone. That was awesome.
Yeah. Technically not supposed to have it, but you got it
Technically,
anyway.
well...
It's region-locked sort of stuff.
Well,
but
I don't even know that it's hardly region-locked when my phone gave me the option, hey, we don't know if you should be installing this. You could if you want to.
No,
you can just tell
the
us.
problem is what you had to do is install an app that is not officially off the Google Play Store in order to install it. That's what you had to do, and yes, it is in fact region-locked, because otherwise you wouldn't have had to install that app not from off the Google Play Store in order to make it function.
Well, maybe if Toei could get their heads out of their butts and understand that fans outside of Japan want to pay for this stuff, then maybe we could talk, but otherwise...
I'm pretty sure the game's free to play in Japan anyway.
Yeah, but there's in-game transactions.
Yeah, exactly. Can you actually pay for in-game microtransactions?
I haven't tried yet.
But I'm asking if it gives you the option.
It does give you the option.
I wonder if they would take it. I'm just curious.
Well, either way, it'd be contributing.
Exactly. So you know what, it would be nice if region locking wasn't a thing, but it is.
If it could take a transaction from my phone, that'd be like breaking into a store and then putting money in the drawer. That's a weird way of looking at it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But
alright.
Aside from that, we've got stories for the evening.
You're right. So our first story of the evening is going to be about Tokyopop, which is making something of a comeback, if we can use comeback really
very loosely at this point.
Very loosely use the word comeback, and we'll describe exactly what it is they're going to be doing and whether or not that's actually something to be looking forward to.
Second story tonight is actually going to be about this little project that we heard coming out of France, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a show that's been licensed now by Nickelodeon called Miraculous Ladybug. We're going to talk to you guys a bit about that, what this cartoon actually is, and how it's actually going to affect both American shores and Japanese shores.
And then finally, we can talk a little bit about a game that's been out for a few weeks now. A couple weeks now. Batman Arkham Knight but
Well,
specifically
the PC
its
version.
PC version, which everyone knows has had its issues and got taken off of Steam's marketplace, and apparently they knew for a long time how bad it was, and we're going to talk about why they knew and why they did nothing.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're definitely going to hit you guys with those 3 stories, but first things first, follow-ups.
Right, what you got?
So first off, we understand we have some new people watching now that we're putting the show up on Channel Awesome. So you guys might not know our hate-hate relationship with the movie that's known as Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, but over here on the show we not so lovingly refer to it as Not Quite Justice League. So we got a lot more information about that movie coming out today. You can go ahead and pull up the picture right now. We finally got a full-on picture of our 3 leads there, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. They're on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, of course, covering everything that they're going to be doing at San Diego Comic-Con next week. We got a few more details about the movie itself. It turns out they have officially confirmed that kryptonite is involved in the plot, that Batman's armored suit that everybody's seen by this point will in fact be kryptonite laced or kryptonite powered, one or the other. So I don't know if I've said this here, but I had to go back and look at Man of Steel really hard to try and figure out how the hell are you going to get kryptonite in there, because Snyder kind of wrote himself into a hole there, amongst other things.
Well, they have to manufacture it, essentially.
Well, technically, the kryptonite that is there would be manufactured, but you guys can ask me about that later. We have those pictures. We also have pictures of Gal Gadot as Diana Prince, not Wonder Woman, you know, her alter ego there, seemingly sharing a dance with Bruce Wayne. And then we also have a picture of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor wearing what is clearly a very bad red-headed wig.
Is it red-headed or is it kind of strawberry blonde?
Strawberry blonde, yeah.
Doesn't matter. Looks hideous. You know it's just going to come off and there's going to be a bald man underneath.
Yeah, because the first picture we got of him was the Chrome Dome, you
Yeah.
know, which, you know, we're glad he went method for it. But by that same token, you know, do we really have to put up with the whole wig thing? Like, I thought we were getting away from the Gene Hackman pool of...
Yeah, if I can just say, this Wonder Woman suit, it does look better now that it does not have the
sepia
brown
tone all over
sepia tone all over it, and it's still kind of muted, but I suppose it fits alongside Superman's muted tones,
Yeah.
I guess. So if they're trying to match one another, then I guess it works for the visual sake of this title.
And by the same token, you know, I'm very happy that they went with the black and gray costume for Batman, but can he look less like he was created in Minecraft and he's just a block?
Like,
you know, he's just a massive Batman.
like Rob Liefeld drew him.
Yeah, I'm like, why? Like, I get it, he's built, but, like, can you move in that? Like, how's he gonna throw a batarang? You know,
he can't
can't
bend his arms, can't touch one arm to the other arm.
Because you notice in that whole bit of footage that we got, he never lifted his arms once.
No, he did not.
Like, maybe to look at something in some wreckage, but otherwise his arms are by his side. When he's holding that dang sniper rifle, he's probably holding it from way down low at the wrist.
If it's a sniper rifle.
I'm pretty sure it's a sniper rifle.
Anyway, so I'm done with the story.
Done with that one. In a related story, there's another round of rumors going around that Tyrese Gibson is hinting that he has been, at least in talks, if not cast, as the Jon Stewart version of Green Lantern for, you know, the upcoming Justice League movie tying back to Not Quite Justice League. That I'm very... because the picture that he's showing is, of course, a fan picture that's been circulating for a while now. And by this point, a lot of different news sites and things of that nature have run with the story and use that picture to try and push the idea that, oh yeah, that's something, we've got the scoop on this. But until there's ink dried on paper, until I read it off of Variety or something, I'm coming out here to say I don't believe it.
I get you.
Because people keep repeating the story over and over again, and I don't...
Like they want it to be true.
Like they want it to be true.
Yeah.
And it's even the same thing he says, like, I never... Tyrese goes on record as saying, I was never the one to try and push for me to be the Green Lantern. The fans want this. So if the fans want it, then who am I to argue?
Exactly.
But, you know, fan casting certain things, that's just a very fan thing to do. I mean,
I'm not ever into fan casting. Of course, I'm always bad at fan casting, too. Also, because I don't know... I know faces sometimes, but I don't know names, and that includes famous people. So... I'm bad at that job. Somebody else is probably way better at it than me. Lots of people, more than likely, are way better at it than me.
Well, it's not that bad. Okay, moving on to other news. We have a confirmation of the official title for Guardians of the Galaxy sequel, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Well, that story's done.
That story's done. We also have confirmation of Star Trek's title, Star Trek Beyond. And
well,
that story's done.
All right, thanks. I'm glad we've come to you for this information.
Yes, it's very important. You know, very time-consuming information. Moving on to other news. In Tokusatsu news, we did get confirmation that we thought it was going to be at the end of this month, but it's actually going to be at the end of July. They have confirmed we will get our first looks at Kamen Rider Ghost, if not going into early August, which would, of course, time out with about a week removed from the release of the Drive movie, Kamen Rider Drive Surprise Future.
Surprise!
Future! Where he's set to make his debut. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer about that. I know a lot of people were circulating this picture that was supposedly a spy shot from the set, but it has since been debunked. It's actually a picture of Kamen Rider Meteor from Kamen Rider Forze. They just kind of color corrected him to look purple instead of blue, and a lot of people were circulating that, like, oh, that's news, we found it, we got the scoop. No, Photoshop. Always gotta look out for the Photoshop.
Probably not even Photoshop, probably somebody screwing around in MS Paint.
Yeah, that's possible. That's definitely a possibility.
Very simple edit.
In other kind of Ghost news, we got another look at the Ghostbuster reboot costumes. Right here we have a look at the new Proton Pack that they're using for the movie.
It's not bad.
No, I actually kind of like it. It's a little more simplified while still maintaining the basic aesthetic of what makes a Proton Pack.
I'm not nerd raging right now. Like,
no, I think...
alright.
You know, like, it's kind of the way they were talking about Godzilla is the same way I look at this. Like, if the Toho movies, the original Toho movies, were somebody telling somebody, hey, this is what it looks like, and then they tried to make that, this is how I see it. Like, okay, I have to describe to you how the Proton Pack looks without showing you a picture, and this is what you came up with. I think that's pretty close.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, because everything's there. The stick is about the same shape. This one actually looks a lot easier to produce if you're making a fan recreation. And by this point, we know there's tons of, you know, Ghostbusters cosplayers.
Oh man, the Ghostbuster community is gonna have a field day with it. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, and we don't actually have a picture of it right now, but I don't think we need to. We gotta look at the jumpsuits that they're gonna be wearing for the movie. And thankfully, they're just little off-tan jumpsuits with orange stripes. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody who was complaining, oh, they're going to be in dresses, it's going to look stupid. No, it's fine. The Proton Pack looks fine.
Only slightly
different. The costumes look fine.
So slightly different.
Which actually makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie and say that I wasn't worried about it, but yeah, it's a relief to see that.
Alright.
Okay, in other Marvel-related news, they have Marvel has confirmed that AntMan, which releases in about 3 weeks from now, will have, in fact, 2 post-credit scenes, seemingly to make up for the lack of a scene anybody wanted.
Probably
at the end of,
one more like mid-credits, and then
one at the end of the credits.
Right.
They won't say what it's of, other than it's to tease the next phase of movies, namely like Civil War, potentially for Spider-Man, although they won't confirm that. But that's definitely something to look out for, because you know, whenever we go to the movies and we see one of these, you know, Marvel event movies is what they are now. There's now more people than there ever have been yelling at each other, hey, there's something after the credits, stay! Because that used to be just us,
yeah.
And now other people warn other people.
I get you.
Or, you know, you'll be there in the seat and you'll ask the person in front of you, hey, is there anything after this? Oh, man, you can go. All right. But then you wonder why they're staying, because maybe they're believing, they're holding out. But now we know for certain there's 2 to look out for, so you can at least pay the price of admission for that. Right. We actually didn't have time to put it in the show, but we did get our first look officially at Bruce Campbell on the set of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Share that link at the very least.
Yeah, I'm going to share the link at least. He is looking a lot better than he has in recent years.
Yeah, because I expected, oh man, Ash is going to have like this big old gut. He's not going to look...
Double chins.
He looks... Yeah, I'm surprised.
He looks like Ash, still.
Yeah, he looks like, you know, an older person, but he looks like he hasn't moved on with his life, aside from staying relatively more fit than I expected.
Well, I imagine they must have put him on a diet for this thing.
I'm sure. But he does look like, you've been wearing those same clothes for like 30 years, huh?
Well, maybe he's like Einstein, he just has, several copies of the
One
same
set
outfit.
of clothes, yeah.
It makes it a lot easier that way, but, who knows, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But, good to see that he's in fine form and has his chainsaw hand back, as he should.
Yay!
Yay! All we need is a boomstick. And on to the last bit of news. So, we kind of talked about this last week when this was just kind of us postulating what was going to happen with the whole Funimation Universal deal. Well, sure enough, just a day or two later, we find out that Funimation did, in fact, pick up the domestic license to the Attack on Titan live-action movies.
Well, who didn't see that coming?
Yeah,
Seriously,
but still, we called it.
Yeah,
We called it. So yes, the interesting thing about it is that they're actually going to premiere them at San Diego Comic-Con the Sunday of the event, the last day.
Which sounds like actually that's before a Japan premiere, if I was
as
reading
far
that
as I
correctly.
know, yes, because it doesn't get released in Japan until the 1st of August, and then the second one on the 19th of September.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yes, and the director's going to be on hand, and if I'm understanding correctly, two of the leads as well, Haruma Miura and Kiko Mizuhara, who play both Eren and Mikasa, should also be there. So yeah, that's going to be a interesting thing. Now, we don't have word just yet as to when they're going to release it over here, but they did say for certain that Funimation got the theatrical, video on demand, and broadcast rights to the movies.
So it's going to hit up all of those.
Yes.
Those distribution.
All those distribution outlets. So basically, just like how we were able to see the last Dragon Ball Z movie in theaters, we are going to be able to see this next one in theaters thanks to Funimation doing some sort of Fathom event. Now it's probably going to be another Fathom event for the Attack on Titan
More than
movies.
likely, yeah.
It would be nice to see that it times out with the release over there, so we would only have to wait another month, just like the Japanese audience would. I'm hoping.
Wait, what release over there?
Because it gets released over there on the 1st of August, so hopefully we get similar release.
Oh, you're saying you want, like, simultaneous release.
Yes, simultaneous release would be optimal, I think. Then that would really boost their numbers.
Well, I think it's entirely possible, considering that San Diego Comic-Con is getting it. It's not like they can't do it. It's absolutely 100% possible.
Because look at it this way. If they're showing it at San Diego Comic-Con, they've already at least subbed it.
Yes.
So that means that version is ready to go.
Yeah. If they were smart the way that, who was releasing the DVDs of, drill arm anime, fighting robots?
Gurren Lagann?
Yes.
Bandai was releasing
Well, Bandai was dubbing it. I don't know that they were the ones printing the discs, but their initial releases were so friggin' fast because they were originally just like, just speed sub this thing, just go, and they released subtitled only discs.
Those are the copies I have.
Yeah. Now, granted, some of those subtitles kind of sucked sometimes because they were just trying to get it the hell out the door.
Yeah.
And then later they released subbed and dubbed discs.
Right, because the dub came later.
Yeah.
Which is, good enough, but we can talk about that later. But hopefully we'll get a simultaneous release, if not, maybe delayed by a few weeks, maybe a month. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. But yeah, that'll do it for tonight's follow-ups. Now we can actually get to the real stories.
Yay!
You haven't taken your anti-Kermit pills today?
I only got diagnosed a few days ago.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Alright.
We'll pull through.
Stop, I'm trying to click this and my mouse is going all over the place. Don't do that. Tokyopop!
Oh, yeah.
It's Tokyopop.
Yeah.
So just today, I believe this was at Anime Expo, they had, Tokyopop had a panel where they were like, hey, we're gonna kind of sort of be coming back, we want you guys to show up so that you can hear more about it. So they had this discussion with people, earlier today around noon, that still didn't really tell very much information, all things considered, but we're expecting more to be coming. But the information is that, yes, Tokyopop is planning on getting back into publishing manga. We're not sure to what extent that's going to be happening, but we do know that they are looking for more original English language manga, like they were once known for publishing, which at the time seemed like a really, really good thing. Granted, there's a lot of people coming forward right now, like, don't do it! It's a bad business model, blah, blah, blah. Stu Levy is a...
Yeah.
You know,
Stu Levy is a... That's as best as we have for censorship.
Give up.
We have a kazoo for censorship.
There's a lot of ex-Tokyopop manga artists who are saying that they really kind of got screwed over. I remember back in the day when Tokyopop first unveiled their Rising Stars of Manga. They had those...
Yes,
they
I
had that
remember
contest,
yeah.
and then like the top 10 best manga, you would submit a chapter of a manga you created, and they would judge it, and then eventually they'd publish it in a tankobon, you know, a manga book that they would then sell. And some of those top people, they would then give the opportunity to publish multiple volumes of that particular story. Very few comic artists actually got the opportunity to publish all the way through their works. In fact, I was just reading up on one person who was like, I was lucky enough to be one of the few who managed to finish 3 volumes that they actually allowed to publish.
Now, did they only have 3 volumes worth of content, or did...
That person, I think, only had 3 volumes worth of content. But a lot of other people, like Tokyopop, just kind of dropped them. Another problem was in 2011, like in 2007, the manga bubble in the United States kind of burst.
Well, because let's put this in, I guess I could use the phrase historical context here. Back at least, 10 years ago at this point, Tokyopop was the king of manga in the U.S.
Easily.
They were the biggest publisher. They were publishing dang near everything.
Which really might have contributed to driving them into the ground.
Because it's the same problem, I think, for manga that, say... ADV had with anime releases, was that they were just releasing so much constantly without really knowing that there was a market for what they were releasing, and so as such the market became oversaturated. And when you spread yourself too thin, more often than not, that's what leads to your crumbling. And if they don't have a successful business model or realize, hey, we kind of need to subsidize how much we're putting out there, let's focus on the big titles, and when those are running out, then we can move on to these other titles. You know, space yourself out. But
they really did kind of push forward, like, back in the early days when they were kind of known as mix comics, or they started publishing a lot of comics.
Back in the dark ages.
Yeah, back in the dark ages when they were flipping all the images of their comics so that it read American directioned and not Japanese directioned.
I remember it.
They were some of the first to publish manga geared toward girls or women, and that really
shoujo manga.
Yeah, and it really was kind of unheard of at the time, which says a lot, but at the same time, a lot of times it was badly translated, or the quality of their books really wasn't very good for a really, really long time. And then you get, again, to these original English language manga, where a lot of the artists really felt like they weren't being handled very well, they weren't being represented very well, and then when Tokyopop finally stopped printing manga in 2011, they kept all of their licenses and did not return the licenses to any of the original manga artists. So they've just been sitting on a bunch of these licenses for like 4 years, and the original artists couldn't do jack with their own property, you know, and that's really kind of sad. Now, some have gone on to say, well, Tokyopop, at the very least, was a stepping stone for me to then go on to something bigger and something better.
Yeah, but just holding on to a license like that, like, this is Tokyopop we're talking about, not friggin' Harmony Gold.
Oh, well, I don't know. It kind of was sitting around just after Harmony Gold decided they could make money doing really crappy things with anime.
Doing really crappy things and holding on to licenses so no one else could use it.
Yeah, exactly. And there have been other words from, like, you see over on your computer, I see Stu Levy had some words to say about how he feels. You might not be looking at the same article I am. Stu Levy of Tokyopop,
No, it's the same one.
He had words to say about what direction Tokyopop is heading in, and he doesn't really want to call it a comeback or anything like that.
Don't call it a comeback. We've been gone for years.
And he's more wanting the company to evolve and change because he feels like the market that was once there for what Tokyopop was 10, 15, 20 years ago, it's not the same. And maybe I'd be inclined to agree, because another article I was looking at also cites, the crash and burn of Borders as being a huge contributing factor.
Because, again, let's take that into perspective. 10 years ago, which is both a long time and not a long time ago. Tokyopop is the king, and we had several bookstores out there where any number of teenage to early 20s people, basically we were treating them like libraries. We'd stand there, mulling around in
I hated the people who just sat there in the middle of the aisle, like, hey, I'd like to look at this copy of Fruits, but oh, no, okay, you're not gonna move. Alright, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Or all the people in cat ears and tails just standing around all the jump stuff, Naruto and Bleach. I mean, I know those weren't...
And their headbands.
And their headbands.
Those are published by Viz.
But they were still there. They were there. But yeah, that in and of itself was a different time, and it was an experience. That in and of itself was, you could tell who was the young anime fan and who were the older anime fans, because the older anime fans were standing back like, stupid kids, can't reach my clamp. Yeah, XXX Holic.
I think it's triple X Holic.
I never learned how to pronounce it properly.
It doesn't actually matter.
It doesn't really matter.
The point is, it might be safe to say, as someone else has mentioned here, that they might have to go to digital publishing, which a lot of other publishers have started to do. Viz has started to do it. Crunchyroll has their own manga library now, for digital subscriptions. Hell, our own, local U.S.
Marvel
comic,
and DC.
Especially Marvel with Marvel Unlimited is this fantastic library of older published stuff that you can just keep mulling through at your leisure. That would be a fantastic model for Tokyopop Manga. Absolutely fantastic, because otherwise they have to fight scanlators tooth and nail.
Yeah.
So it would really be to their benefit.
Well, see, even then, that was a problem then, and it's still a problem now. Scanlators are on that mess.
Yeah.
3-hour turnover, if that. If you're really on that. Yeah, sorry.
The quality's not necessarily great all the time, but they
it's gotten better.
Sometimes. It depends on what kind of fans are trying to scanlate.
Yeah, but even then, turnover time wasn't that long back in the day. Nowadays, it's even less. People... You have your team together, and they'll put it out faster than you can do it, which is why it's smart for other companies to put out, make these deals with manga and anime distributors ahead of time. Like, no, you know what? You haven't even aired this thing yet. Make a deal with us. That way we can both cover basically our assets.
Yeah.
That way they can be on top of the piracy issue, which, yeah, in a lot of cases there was a lot of that. You heard stories all over the place of Borders or Walden Books having people knock stuff off from the manga section. They throw stuff in there. Naruto, I forget the name of the group with the long black coats and the little red thingies on them.
You know what? I didn't like Naruto. So.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, they would always say it was some cosplayer. It wasn't really a cosplayer. It was just somebody who bought the jacket from Hot Topic, going in there, jacking some manga, putting it in their jacket, and walking out.
Yep. That contributed to it. So either way, Tokyopop is now back in some form. Now, technically, they've been...
Pog form?
I wish. They've been sending out email newsletters, like monthly newsletters, this whole time ever since they stopped publishing.
Right.
So they haven't been so dead and buried that they've completely up and closed up their license shop, and sold off
Akatsuki.
everything.
There you go, the Akatsuki codes.
Yeah, there you go. So they've kind of been around in one format or another. Stu Levy went to Japan and did some documentary after that horrible tsunami and the reactor, which, good on him, good project. Those are the kind of things that Tokyopop has been kind of doing sidelined for now. He seems very cautious in his approach.
Long story short, if they're coming back, they've got their work cut out for them, more than cut out for them, because other companies have taken up publishing manga. The big stuff out there now, like I forget who actually publishes Attack on Titan or Knights of Sidonia. The bigger titles now, but it's hard when you used to be #1 and you're trying to make your comeback.
Yeah.
They're not going to give that back to you. You gotta
No,
fight for it.
Exactly.
So we'll see. They have a panel at San Diego Comic-Con on Saturday at 6 p.m. Local time there. So hopefully we'll hear a little bit more, and we'll be able to report back to you guys just what exactly it is that they're planning to do.
Yep, we'll see.
Yes.
Yes. So, next I have to restart this thingy, but, you can kind of see the logo back here behind us. We're gonna be talking about, what is it, Miraculous Ladybug?
Miraculous Ladybug, or just Ladybug. It seems to go by both.
Yeah, exactly. So, loop? Can we loop? Play? Yes?
Yes. Okay. So what you guys are seeing right
Oh,
behind us...
This particular video was from the Licensing Expo of 2014, but this was licensing for this show, Miraculous Ladybug. For a while, when it was in pre-production, it was simply known as Miracle or Miraculous, one of the two, but not Miraculous Ladybug. And it is French CG animated, although it has some pretty big ties to Toei, as in Toei animation. In fact, in approximately 2012, they animated at least one test episode featuring these characters, and they look pretty identical to what you see here now in this fully CG 26 episode thing that's about to come out.
Right.
And it's coming out on Nickelodeon, it turns out. And America is just one of the many, many countries that this series is going to be running in. When was this supposed to come out? Did this say?
This fall, if I'm not mistaken.
This fall. It's basically ready. It seems practically complete at this point. The budget of this was about $11.2 million.
Right.
It's fairly impressive, actually. And apparently this studio, what is it? It starts with a Z. They worked with, well, it's just Zag, really, I guess. Zagtoon. They worked with tons of different studios across the world. So not just Toei, but apparently they had hands also in America and in Korea and all sorts of different countries. So it's a very kind of global sort of production, which I find to be very interesting.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, the thing about it is, with this thing coming out to Nickelodeon and having such strong ties to Toei Animation, and, you know, they even say outright, you know, she's French, but she's very much rooted in kind of Japanese magical girl sensibilities. The worry is that a show like this, which admittedly seems very positive, has a non-over-sexualized female heroine as the lead. It looks to be very positive. The worry is that a show like this might be taken not so seriously by Nickelodeon, because by this point we've all had our stories, whether it be Nickelodeon or even Cartoon Network, of shows that look incredibly promising, but when they don't have the right backing from the network at the outset, it just follows the slippery slope down the hill to cancellation.
Yeah.
And what people are trying to do, especially a large enough movement on social media, is to make sure people are aware of the show and are looking out for it and telling people, hey, you know, come out, watch this thing.
You know, in fact, as you say that, it turns out that if there's enough support for a Ladybug, they do in fact plan on going ahead and producing that 2D anime out of Toei based on this title. From what I understand, I believe that officially one of the French producers eventually went to either this video or another one of the official Ladybug videos and responded to somebody else's comment about it, bringing up the old anime clip that, like, for some reason it's just out there. It's out there and it looks like it's fan-edited, and I can't figure out where it originally leaked from to
where they got
begin
the
with.
source footage.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, clearly those characters, like they look identical.
Right.
And it was apparently determined that as an anime, it would not hit a global market nearly as well as this cute, fun, fast CG-styled animation would do. Because
admittedly, I understand where the CG appeal comes in. You know, you've got more CG animated shows today than we used to growing up. You know, what do we got there with the CG right now? There's Ninja Turtles is CG, Transformers, the Cybertron one, I'm blanking all that Voltron one. Voltron Force was CG. Like it's what's big right now. But the thing about it is, there's still the charm of 2D animation, much more so with anime appeal. But the thing about it is, the path they want to take on this seems more reminiscent of, say, Powerpuff Girls, where it's not sourced out of Japan, but there's certain ties back to it, and then Japan eventually makes their own version.
Exactly.
And that becomes popular in and of itself.
So, the idea behind this series is that this girl whose name is Marinette, and I do believe
I think it's Marionette.
But there's not another I in her name to indicate that, you might notice. It's just Marinette. It would make sense if it was Marionette, but it does not appear that that's how her name is spelled.
Marinette.
Marinette Cheng. She's half Chinese, it would seem. And she's a middle school kid, and yes, she's...
No, high school.
Oh, I guess she is high school. I thought that's an earlier product said that she was in middle school. Either way, her power apparently is luck. I mean, that just makes sense, being a ladybug, because ladybugs are traditionally good luck.
Yes.
And then you see the young blonde-haired dude who's going by the name Cat Noir.
Or Black Cat.
Or Black Cat. And his name in real life is Adrian. They kind of like each other. He's kind of too gloating, trying to get her attention because he really seems to like her, and she's not into that.
Well, it seems that the trade-off is when they're not in their, I guess you'd call them superhero outfits, Marinette has a thing for Adrian, but Adrian doesn't care. But when they're in costume, it's the flip-flop of that. Adrian, or rather Cat Noir, wants the attention of Ladybug, but Ladybug doesn't want anything to do with him. So there will be a lot of interesting back and forth there to look forward to, or so the producers have said. It'll be interesting to see how well this takes off, because I think about other shows of a similar nature, not exactly, like, say, Totally Spies. You know, I get that same feel from this. I mean, granted, that was, what, Canadian, if I'm not mistaken? It was
Canadian animated, which is funny, because it takes place in Oceanside, California, which is where I was born.
Yeah.
But they're allowed to animate wherever they want to.
But see, I remember that, you know, like, it only got so much love through the initial run, and then once, you know, the run was over, and then it eventually got to Netflix, you know, a lot more people started
I had no idea it was on Netflix.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still there, they might off, but it did go.
But I know that France has had a pretty decent worldwide success with things that are CG animated, or at least partially CG animated, such as Code Lyoko, or, shoot, what is it? Wakfu.
Wakfu, yeah.
Wakfu, I thought was really fun and really cute, and of course a lot of people would be familiar with the MMO Wakfu. Yes. And I would imagine that this gets some video game tie-ins eventually.
Oh, absolutely. I can see this thing getting a real simple 3DS release of something almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you could see the overturn to make sure that was out by the holiday season. And the good thing about it is, you know, you get a show like this, you know, like, growing up for us, we had... granted, it wasn't the greatest stuff, but we at least had Sailor Moon. Like, she was the most prominent female team that was out there for people to look up to, and it didn't matter whether you were a boy or girl. I happen to know a lot of people who both watched Sailor Moon and appreciated it for what it was at the time. I imagine that being the same case for this, were it to get enough press, you know, enough people find out about it. I mean, at least that's the hope. So
yeah.
Hopefully, if enough people are making a buzz about this thing, keeping an eye out on it, making sure other people are aware of it, and are very vocal, because the thing we have now that we didn't have back then, of course, is social media. You know, you get on Tumblr, you get on Twitter, you get on Facebook, and you make sure people know about it, and you make sure people are there to support it. Because, you know, you think about any number of popular shows nowadays, Adventure Time, friggin' My Little Pony, they're aware of their fans.
Yeah, their community is aware of them, and they too are aware of their community.
And as such, you know, when the fans and the community are both given that clear communication between one another, hey, this is what we like, hey, this is what we appreciate from you guys, then it works out better, and that leads to
a longer
show,
lasting.
Yeah, it leads to longevity.
Yeah.
Longevity for a show. So hopefully, going into this fall with the release on Nickelodeon, this could be a show that gets longevity.
I will watch it from the get-go, I think. I will check it out. I'll see what it's about. There is an article right now on Anime News Network, which I'm going to link you guys to, and it appears to have some edited footage of what's going to be the American release. I guess. You don't hear any dubbing or anything, but what you do hear is what I'm going to assume is our American intro, which sounds kind of goofy, but at the same time, that could just be an English adaptation of the French intro. I really don't know. Because Code Lyoko, we just got an English version of their French intro.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I would need to do more research, but you can get kind of a taste of what that sounds like.
So yeah, you guys take a look at that. Yeah, you can go ahead and tell us on Twitter what you guys think of it.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on to our last story of the evening, Batman.
Man. And usually Batman things are a good thing, unless they're not. In this case, they're not. And
well, specifically for the PC.
Yes, specifically for the PC. So we're, of course, talking about Batman Arkham Knight.
Now, I, of course, got my copy for PS4 because, you know, certain things, like, we've had this conversation. Certain things work better on console. Certain things work better on PC. Like, a game like this, like, or platformer games back in the day, those worked better on a console, whereas at least you and a lot of other people are of the mindset that something like a shooter is better on a PC.
I feel as such, yes. It's harder for me to play, like I can't do Halo, for example. I can't controller gun shooty. I can't. It's gotta be
with a mouse.
With a mouse and keyboard, I feel so much more accuracy. Now, granted, that's just me. There's a lot of people who prefer shooters on a console, and they're really freaking good at it, and there's tournaments for it. I'm not one of those people.
But for something like this, you know, if you don't have a console, you got your PC, you got it all rigged up, then yeah, more power to you. I mean, nowadays, I play a lot more on my PC than I did on consoles, like, you know, thank you, Steam. There's so many things on there, and you're constantly looking to see, oh, well, what's coming out on PS3, or now PS4, what's coming out on Xbone, can I get it on PC? And most of the time, there's not too much to worry about. Unfortunately, when it came down to Arkham Knight's release, apparently there was a lot to worry about. And on top of that, what was it, Warner Brothers Interactive?
It's Warner Brothers. I don't know if Interactive is part of the title or not.
They were aware, apparently, of all the bugs that by now everybody's been reporting on the game.
Right, so it is being said out of places like Kotaku and GamePolitics.com that there are a couple of testers in the QA department working on the PC version of the game who said they had known, you know, for months they kept sending bug reports, bugs, glitches, technical issues, generally poor performance, all of these reports, but eventually one tester suggests that management at the company deemed the PC version to be in good enough shape to release. And it's like, what did they do? Ignore all the bug reports? Now realize, of course, too, that the PC version was not released by the same publisher. They outsourced the PC release to another publisher in order to get it out to Steam. And the result was just, like, completely unacceptable. So many crashes. So many crashes. If you purchased it, they have released a patch that fixes a number of crashes and the rain effects in-game and stuff, but it's not enough. It's so not enough. They capped the frame rate of the PC version of the game at 30 frames per second.
That's terrible.
That's unacceptable.
That is terrible.
In this day and age, that is unacceptable.
Especially
when your console versions are running at 60 frames per second.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at it and just going from playing, you know, Arkham City on PS3 to playing Arkham Knight, the level of just how smooth everything is, the easy transitions and lack of, you know, having to worry about load time. It's just so beautiful to look at. Even on our little, what is it, like 24-inch TV that we've got.
Small, yeah.
It's kind of small, but even then, it's a joy to look at. Just, you know, just let Batman run for a second. Let me see how that cape waves. like it's visually pleasing. But when you're dropping that to 30 frames per second, and you're capable of more on say a good gaming PC, but you have to do it because the game's screwed up, then yeah, it's gonna ruin how you feel about the game.
Yeah, and it sounds like maybe nobody was reporting back to Warner Brothers that there were so many problems with the PC version, because they act like they had no idea the game was in such a horrible state. But then again, the testers were saying, "Oh, that's laughable. They should have known about it for months because we kept reporting it."
Well, see, it reminds me, because, you know, I work in references. It reminds me of, if you remember the movie Armageddon, where they're trying to get all the oil drillers all tested out to see just how physically, mentally capable they are of going into space, and most of them fail all the psych tests.
Yeah.
One of them has high cholesterol, somebody's sick, but still somebody puts the stamp of approval on there to say, oh, yeah, they can go. We don't have a choice, you know, we've got an asteroid to take care of. Here it's like, hey, this game's pretty glitchy, people are going to have to drop frame rate, crashes are going to be a real big problem. Well, we can't really do anything about it, we've got a release date coming up. Pah! There you go, approved.
Because realize, by pulling it and saying we got a lot of work to do, that says something. Because in a lot of cases, you take games such as any Bethesda game, period.
Yeah.
For example, Skyrim. Or Fallout 3 or New Vegas. Or you look at, say, Star Trek, the movie, the game.
Oh, come on. There's a reason we haven't finished that thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, even though it still has really hilarious, funny, like, ragdoll physics, like, it shouldn't work that way kind of deaths, at least those games didn't have to get pulled from the Steam market. They were able to get patched. With enough complaints, they got patched to at least be in some kind of functioning condition.
Yeah, they put it up to working order.
The problem here with Batman Arkham Knight is that they can't even do that. They are so far away from having something that functions that they have to completely and utterly pull it and tell people it's gonna take a long time before it's okay enough to play. That shouldn't have ever been an issue to begin with, ever. That's ridiculous.
Because tell me this much at least: when you're working on the release of a game for multiple platforms, including PC, don't you normally want those development teams to be working in tandem to make sure they're on the same page? Like, hey, okay, the Xbox One team is at this. They're at 35%. Are you guys at 35%? Like, they should have been keeping up with that sort of thing. Like, it seems to me that somebody dropped the ball somewhere, and then that ball kept rolling down the street, and then eventually got run over.
As Movie Bread is, no, it's Paladin here. Excuse me. Is kind of trying to mention it before you even knew what you had. You patented it, and you packaged it, and you slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling. You are selling. Well, that's what they were doing.
Which is funny because I've got my Batman plastic lunchbox right over there.
You sure do.
I love that lunchbox.
I gave it to you. Don't forget that.
I don't forget that.
But that Batman plastic lunchbox has nothing to do with Arkham Knight.
Well, see, that Batman
lunchbox is probably what? Probably 25 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, that lunchbox works. It worked when it came out of packaging. This isn't working out of packaging. And that says, I'm comparing a lunchbox to a PC game. But it's the thing about it, though. If you know you've got a massive release like this coming up, then why on earth would you shun all the numerous testers who said, hey, we've got some real problems here? Because the thing about it is, it's almost like they didn't take... I mean, quite obviously, it seems that they didn't take the warning seriously. I would think maybe the worst thing about it is they thought they could get away with not doing anything about it because they didn't think as many people would be playing it on PC?
Possibly, but realize now they're losing money.
Oh, yes, they are.
This is a huge loss, a huge financial loss for them. No idea how big of a loss just yet. I'm sure it will be reported eventually, and they will be very, very unhappy. By the time they get it fixed, are there gonna be many PC gamers who even care anymore to play it?
By that point, who knows? At that point, not only are you losing sales, you may have probably just lost sales to somebody who decided to watch a playthrough on YouTube. Like, that's saying something. Somebody else's ad revenue is going in on that.
Yeah.
That's where you know you shot yourself in the foot. when somebody has to go, man, they really didn't give me any choice. Arkham Knight playthrough. And then they just watch it. They never got any of their money. They were willing to give you the money. See, that's the whole thing of, you know, you have your customers there, ready. They've got money in hand. I want to buy your product. Okay. I don't want that. It's broken. No. Take it back. Alright. You're a loss. No, you're a loss because you don't get my money. You can't give me a broken product and expect me to be okay with it.
Right.
In this day and age, we don't do that anymore.
We don't do
that. Well, because you shouldn't have to. And if this is... Because you think about it, they said this is the last of the Arkham trilogy, right? This is the big last hurrah for the Arkham series. Why would you ruin somebody's enjoyment of that when you screwed up the finale?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one thing when you screw up the last of a trilogy of movies and you're the same company. It's another thing when the game, which has a higher standard, because across the board everybody says, oh, that's like such a great universe, it feels like you're Batman in that, and then you get robbed of that feeling because you can't see as clear as they were telling you could.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, we watch the playthroughs, we watch all the footage that they had put out at E3 and before then, you know, telling us about, oh, how this was going to be the best Batman simulator ever, but it's not because you screwed it up and I can't simulate the Batman. Why? For shame, WB, for shame. Can't you get him right for all of us? Please.
Right when you're about to release another movie with Batman.
That too. You know,
like he's pretty good idea to not screw this up.
Yeah, because even if the movie sucks, you could at least go, man, at least I still got Arkham Knight. But some people don't have that option now.
They have the internet. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
I guess we're done with that.
That's probably it. Okay.
Alright, so is there anything else we want to bring up before we kind of round out this episode? That it? Yes?
Probably.
Okay, in that case, if you are here with us live right now, be sure to stick around with us for another half an hour, and we're going to be talking to you guys and doing Q&A, and we're just going to be shooting the breeze, and it's going to be great, awesome fun, hooray, yay!
Awesome. In the meantime, over the next week or so, if you want to talk to us, you can always hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
So that having been said, that's been this week's episode of Beyond the Black Rims, and we'll see you guys next week.
Night,